Hi and welcome to today's video where I will be talking about what is a RACI matrix. And as if you are a seasoned PM or project manager, you will know what a RACI matrix is. It stands for responsible, accountable, consult, and inform. So what I will be covering in this video is what is a matrix, what is a RACI matrix, the components that are in the RACI matrix, some of the benefits, and a little basic overview of how to create a RACI matrix and some common mistakes to avoid. So without delay, let's get on with the video. So firstly, what is a matrix, RACI matrix? So RACI stat is an acronym for responsible, accountable, consult, informed. It's used as a tool to define your stakeholders of who's responsible, who's accountable, who you consult and inform against associated tasks as part of your plan. So what are the components in a bit more detail for a RACI matrix? So the first one is responsible, which is the R. And basically, this is that individuals or teams responsible for the task execution. So an example would be in a marketing campaign, the content team are responsible for creating the blog post, for example. Then you've got accountable, which is the A, is the ultimate decision maker who ensures the task is completed successfully. Again, an example would be here, a marketing manager is accountable for the entire campaign success, for example. And then you've got consult or consulted. Now, these are individuals or groups who provide input and expertise as part of that task. And again, an example here would be a legal team might be consulted for compliance issues in the marketing campaign that we've used here as an example. And finally, it's informed. Now here, this is where individuals or groups who are kept informed about task progress to senior stakeholders. An example here is companies' executives are informed about the campaign's progress, but don't have an active role in this, for example. Now, the next one is really, what are the benefits of RACI matrix? And RACI matrix is really used to identify your stakeholders throughout a specific, a sprint or a task or what, or a stage of your project, whatever that may be. But what the benefits of using the RACI matrix are, it clearly defines roles, reduces confusion, and stops overlapping responsibilities. So there's no mixed variety. In the RACI matrix, you can only have one of each one. I have seen people where they make them responsible and accountable. It can be done that way, but in theory, you're supposed to only have one responsible, accountable, consult, and inform per activity. Creates accountability, establish good ownership and accountability for each task, so there's no ambiguity. Good communication, so it improves communication by identifying who needs to be involved and informed. And again, it's quite the efficiency, it streamlines decision making and tasks execution. So it takes away the ambiguity, so you can make quick decisions. So basically, how do you create a RACI matrix? So first thing you do is identify your tasks. List out the tasks or processes within the project. So let's say you've got stage one, you've got 10 stages. You are currently doing stage one. List out those tasks first. Then you define the roles within that task. I don't know. You could look at like an engineer, senior stakeholder, field engineer, programmer, whatever. You list them all out, and then you assign the following to each task. So you assign the following to each individual or against responsible, accountable, consulted, or informed. So if there's a field engineer who needs to do a job, you would inform them, or possibly for another task, you would consult them. So it just needs to be how you define what that task is. Our task is deploy a switch to X location. Field engineer would be accountable, in this case responsible, but the PM would be accountable, for example. So that was it. And then you review and refine this each time you go through. Ensure that your roles are well defined and accurate. That's what's going to make things really easy. I use RACI as part of a scope of works or a run book, which really is helpful so that there's no ambiguity. People know exactly what they're doing when they're doing it. And just make sure you're reviewing everything through that. So one of the things about RACI matrix and common mistakes that you should avoid really is role overloading. assigning too many roles to a single person. Again, remember, never do, the standard will be load one role to per person only, but you can mix and say, you can make somebody responsible and accountable. However, I will try to avoid that where possible, because it does create some sort of ambiguity about who you're going to. And if you use it right, it doesn't, but it can do. Uh, you know, Sometimes you have lack of clarity. Failing to be really clear and define roles and responsibilities, leaves ambiguity, leaves people unsure about who's doing what when, and that's what you've got to try and avoid. And then another thing is skipping stakeholders, not involving all the necessary stakeholders in the matrix. Now, you should do some research, talk to your people who needs to be involved, and that will be part of your planning stage. But make sure you don't try to avoid missing any stakeholders as part of that work activity. But again, ask the question while you do the reviews of the team: is there anybody else we need to involve, etc. But as you get through it, you'll get to know more and more, and you can add people as you go along, as you discover things. So in summary, RACI Matrix is used to manage stakeholders, or at least define stakeholders with clear roles and responsibilities in a particular stage. You can do an overall RACI Matrix as part of your initiation stage, which keeps a very high level, but you can use that RACI Matrix at very lower level as lower level tasks or stages within your project. And there are huge advantages. Takes away a lot of ambiguity, creates great visibility, but don't forget, keep your stakeholders engaged. Try to make sure the right stakeholders are actually on the RACI Matrix and providing the right information. I hope that was helpful, and thank you for listening.